In our last episode, we covered how to evaluate a regional center's credibility. Today, we go into the project itself. And I want to start with something that most investors do not fully appreciate until it is too late. An EB5 project can be financially performing, the building is built, the developer is profitable, and your immigration case can still fail. Because EB5 is not just an investment, it is an immigration program with very specific legal requirements. And if the project does not meet those requirements, your green card is at risk, regardless of what happens to your money. So in this episode, we are looking purely at immigration risk. What are the indicators that tell you whether this project will deliver on the immigration side of your investment? I'm Mr. EB5. Welcome back to EB5 Gyaan. Let's get into it. Indicator 1. TEA designation and validity. The Targeted Employment Area Designation, or TEA, is not just about the investment amount. It is an immigration classification that sits at the foundation of your petition. If a project claims TEA status, verify it independently. TEA designations are based on census-tracked data and unemployment figures at a specific point in time. They can be challenged by USCIS during adjudication. If the designation is found to be incorrect, your entire petition could be filed at the wrong investment level. That is not just a financial problem, that is a case integrity problem. Have your immigration attorney verify the TEA documentation before you file anything. Indicator 2. Job creation methodology and cushion. 10 jobs per investor, that is the legal minimum for every single EB5 petition. Not 10 jobs for the project, 10 jobs attributable to each individual investor's capital. Regional centers calculate these jobs using indirect and induced economic models, RIMS2, IMPLAN, or similar methodologies. These models estimate jobs created beyond direct construction workers, supplier jobs, service jobs, spending effects in the local economy. What you need to evaluate is this. First, is the methodology credible? Was the economic report prepared by a qualified independent economist? Has USCIS accepted this methodology in previously approved projects? Second, what is the job cushion? A project projecting exactly 10 jobs per investor has no margin for error. Construction delays reduce jobs. A scaled-back project scope reduces jobs. A change in economic assumptions reduces jobs. Any of these and your minimum is at risk. Look for projects with a cushion of at least 20 to 30% above the 10-job requirement. That buffer is the difference between a clean I-829 approval and a request for evidence that puts your green card on hold. Indicator 3. RC's I-526 and I-829 approval history. We touched on I-829 approval rates when evaluating the RC itself. But here, look at it project by project. Has this specific type of project structure in this asset class with this RC produced clean I-526 and I-829 approvals before? I-526 approval tells you USCIS accepted the project structure, the job creation methodology, and the at-risk capital deployment. I-829 approval tells you the jobs were actually created, the capital stayed at risk, and the conditions were successfully removed. Both matter. An RC with strong overall numbers but a weak record in this specific project type is a flag worth examining. Ask for approval data broken down by project, not just aggregate numbers across their portfolio. Indicator 4. At-risk requirement and fund deployment. EB5 law requires your capital to be placed at risk in a commercial enterprise. It cannot sit in escrow indefinitely. It cannot be guaranteed a return. It must be deployed into the project and genuinely at risk. Ask the RC, what is the fund deployment timeline? How quickly after your I-526E is filed will your capital be released from escrow and deployed into the project? And what protections exist if your I-526E is denied before deployment? Some projects deploy capital only after I-526 approval. Others deploy upon filing. The terms matter, both for your immigration case and for your capital protection. Understand the escrow agreement completely before you sign. Indicator 5. Material change risk. This is one of the most underappreciated immigration risks in EB5. A material change is any significant alteration to the project after you file your I-526E, a change in scope, structure, financing, or business plan that differs from what USCIS approved. Why does this matter? Because USCIS adjudicates your petition based on the project as it was described at the time of filing. If the project changes materially after that, it can jeopardize your petition. Ask the RC directly. Has this project ever undergone a material change on a previous offering? How did they handle it? Did they notify investors? Did they file amendments with USCIS? An RC that has managed material changes transparently and correctly in the past is demonstrating exactly the kind of compliance culture you want behind your immigration case. An RC that is vague about this is a risk. Indicator 6. Source of funds. Alignment with timeline. Your source of funds documentation is one of the most scrutinized parts of your I-526E petition. But here is the connection most investors miss. The project timeline must align with your source of funds preparation timeline. If a project has a hard closing deadline and your source of funds documentation requires 6 to 8 months to prepare, you may be rushed into filing before your case is properly documented. A rushed source of funds package is one of the leading causes of I-526 requests for evidence. Ask the RC, what is the subscription deadline for this offering? Is there flexibility for investors who need additional time to prepare documentation? Do not let a project's fundraising timeline drive your immigration filing timeline. Your petition must be ready. The project timeline is secondary. Let me bring it all together. 6 immigration risk indicators to evaluate in any EB5 project. 1. TEA designation. Verified independently, not just accepted. 2. Job creation methodology and cushion. 20 to 30% above the minimum. 3. I-526 and I-829 approval history. By project type, not just overall numbers. 4. At-risk requirement and fund deployment. Understand the escrow terms completely. 5. Material change risk. How has the RC handled changes before? 6. Source of funds alignment with timeline. Your documentation timeline drives your filing date, not the other way around. Remember, a project can make money and still fail your immigration case. These 6 indicators tell you whether this project is built to deliver a green card, not just a return. In the next episode, we look at the investment side: LTV, LTC, collateral, capital structure, preferred equity versus loan, and what all of it means for your capital protection. Drop your questions in the comments. I read every single one. That's EB5 Gyaan. Simply clear, every time. I'm Mr. EB5. Know the immigration risk. Make the right move. See you in the next one.